Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Welcome. Suleiman Rahim here. Another episode of Critical Analytics. Today we want to discuss and do a critical analysis of racism from a mathematical point of view. We get all kinds of definitions of racism, and now we're told America's not a racist society. It's not systemic racism. Well, we need a clear definition of what racism is before we can say racism, so we can declare what is racism and whether America is indeed a racist country. So we're going to deal with it from a mathematical point of view. In fact, we're going back 50,000 years just to make our point. We need to know what racism is. That's a major topic of the world today, especially America. It's been a major driving force for the last 5,000 years. Specifically, well, let me backtrack that. For the last 500 years. The last 500 years, because a race was declared 500 years ago. So it's been a major driving force for the last 500 years. So we need to know what it is. So we know what we talk about. So we can agree whether racism is a legitimate concept and whether it's still active today. And if it is active, to what extent? How pervasive is it? How effective is it? How destructive is it? And we're going to cover a couple other things too. Some current events. And we're going to do a redux on Nineveh. Just cover a few things that may have left a few of you confused. Sisters and brothers, I shouldn't need to tell that we're in trying times. But maybe I do because they have you pacified. You know what pacified means? Like, you know why they call that thing you give to a child pacifier? Because it calms them down. It takes, it distracts them. See? So they think they're getting something, they're not getting nothing. See? They're going through the motions of thinking they're getting milk, they're not getting anything. So it's a pacifier. So we're calming down without getting them anything. See? Get them what they want. Put it that way. It's not getting what they want. It's getting them something, but not what they want. And that's pacification. That's what they're doing to black folks in America. Because they have you pacified. NFL, NBA, all these, they got more series out there, especially to go towards black people. You just live 1,000 years, you couldn't watch them all. I mean, if I wasn't who I am and what I'm about, I would advise my children to go into acting. Because with so much out there, that would be the very lucrative. Because I'm sure they must need actors and actresses like you wouldn't know. Because to create all those series, to create all those things, I mean, somebody's got to do those acting. So we're going to talk about that. See, there's a pacification. Hold on for a second, brothers and sisters. 1 second here. So, I'll do that. Okay, 1 second. This should be okay. Make a little adjustment here. Sound adjustment. Okay. Again, critical analytics. No sound adjustment here. Now today is July 26, 2021. And the question still is, who will win the war Armageddon? Because we're in a war, brothers and sisters, and they have you pacified. So why do you pacify your enemy? Because either you pacify them because you want to deal with them later, you don't want them arming themselves, you want to know what's going on. Okay? That's one reason. See? Because you're going to deal with them. That's what war is about. But if you pacify them, right, you put them, take them off the battlefield. So you have to worry about them right now. You're still going to get them, just not right now. Or maybe you're in the process of getting them, right? But it takes a while to set the whole thing up. So you actually target them, right? You're actually working to get them, dealing with them shrewdly, as the scripture says, right? Condescendingly, but you want to keep them pacified, right? Distracted, asleep. See, while you finish setting up your trap, your snare, because it said this day will come as a snare. And brothers and sisters, all the nations are preparing for war. But what about the original nation here? You're not prepared for anything. And you're a nation. You're not part of this. They don't consider you as part of this. You're here. They realize you're a separate nation, but they know they need to keep you separate. They make you keep you ignorant of that idea of having a common vision. Because if you come together as a nation, it says right in Scripture, you be dangerous to them because you may make war against them. Because if you become a nation, you want sovereignty, you want freedom, real freedom. You don't have freedom here because you're still under their rule. They don't want you to think of as a nation. They want you to think, well, you're part of America. You're a citizen. So in other words, you don't have a nation. You're just somebody a part of this country, and we're all one melting pot. See, but we didn't ask to be in this melting pot. We didn't ask to be here. We're forced to be here. And they want you to think that you're a part of this and you are not. They know you're not. The scriptures tell you you're not. They said, let us cut them off from being a nation. Let their name be remembered no more. I can't tell you strong enough, but many of you are going to be lost, destroyed, because you won't get that through your head. Elijah Muhammad told you that we're a separate nation. That means that we're a separate nation, that we should be independent, a sovereign nation. That means they shouldn't be telling us what to do. We should be obeying their laws. We don't care about no voting. That's like voting whether they should stop raping you or not. Can we vote on how much raping you can do on us? You're still in the plantation. Oh, y'all can vote now. Y'all can vote which one of master's children is going to be the new master when master dies. You're still in the damn plantation. We're still here. You just don't get it. And most of you don't get it. It's because you're not getting it. That sounds like, wait a minute, they don't get it because they don't getting it. Yeah, exactly. Because you got the demons blocking you from getting this. Because you heard it, you respond to it. If you heard it, respond to it. But you got the whole media inundated with demons. Look like you, walk like you, right? Sound like you. They ain't you. Just like in the field. The house Negroes, the preachers, the reverends, do what Master say. Be a good Negro, work hard, and you get your reward, right? When you go to heaven and meet the big Master, because he's a white man on the wall, Jesus. And you're falling for all of that. I mean, back then you had no choice. But now you're supposed to have a brain, but you're still not used for it. You're falling for it. Some of you falling for it, but like I said, A lot of you not even hearing it because they're blocking you. They're blocking you from hearing it. See? Here you see, they show you that our ancestors nearly gave their lives to keep their names, and now you're free to keep on Master's name. You're free to, why would you want to keep Master's name? Why would you want to keep that? Does that make any sense at all? This man brutalized you, rape your mom and everything else. Why would you want to keep that name? Because a lot of you are demons. That's why, because that's your real name. Anyway, we're going to move on with this. But the thing, they have you pacified, brothers and sisters. See? Because you out there watching NFL, NBA, all that kind of stuff, and go out there and look at these people. They don't care about you. Do you know, it's somewhere, see, 70, 80% of all those so-called black celebrities, they marry white. They, process that for a minute. Process that for a minute. And how many of the white celebrities and famous figures and so forth, right, are marrying blacks? Virtually 0%. I mean, it happens rarely, and when they do, it's because the black they marry is wealthy and rich and famous. They married into money. They marry that person. They marry that person's money. And you don't see what's going on. They got a war against you. It says their objective is to cut you off totally, destroy you, to make your name remembered no more. See? And you got Lion Farrakhan, he's sitting on it. Because a nation without a vision perish. What is your vision? Oh, the American dream? That's your vision? Because that's the only vision you got, if you got a vision at all. What's your vision? What's the vision God gave you? Abrahamic covenant to go back to our promised land and inherit it. And Elijah Muhammad encouraged Martin Luther King to tell you about that vision. See, when he tasked him to tell you about that vision, they told him not to do it. They told Martin Luther King, you better not do it. He did it. He was dead the next day. They should have that vision, because a nation is a people that have a common vision. So we're going to move on, brothers and sisters. You don't have to listen to me. See, you have to listen to me. You keep on. But we time travelers. We creating time. That's what is the difference between a believer and a disbeliever. See, a believer, they give you these scriptures. Scriptures tell you how to keep creating time. See, we're moving forward, because tomorrow doesn't exist. You have to create your tomorrow, because your tomorrow is based on what you did. We have to create tomorrow. We have to give form to tomorrow. What we do now, that's how it's not tomorrow just going to come by itself. We have to give form to it. It's a direct consequence of what we're doing today. Tomorrow's not going to just come up, and the next day, tomorrow is going to pop up, and all of a sudden, right, the world's upside down, and you're rich, and we're on another planet or something. No, it's a direct consequence of what we're doing today. We have to create tomorrow, and the scriptures tell us how to do that effectively. So they give you the scripture so you can keep moving. So the believers are they that keep on moving to keep creating time. The disbelievers are the ones that they stop. They don't create time anymore. They stop. Another way of looking at it is say those who love this world's life, they get it, but there's no portion from the hereafter, because they stop making time. They stop making time. They're enjoying what's going on now. So they're locked in the past, because they're stuck in the current. See? And the current, what's current, eventually becomes what's past. Because you got to constantly keep making, time keeps going on. And because we keep making time, we keep creating time. We create time. Time is not just something that's there. We create time. See, time is the creation, the formation of energy. You have to understand that. Universe is just energy, but it does have form. So we give it form, right? We give energy form, and that's what creating time is. The process of time is a process of giving form to formlessness, to giving form to energy. That's what the process of time is. And if you're not doing that, you're not traveling through time. So if you're just enjoying the form that exists, that means you love this world's life. You're enjoying the form that exists. So therefore, you lost in time, and time is moving on. You lost and have to eventually, because nobody, no, you can't communicate with somebody in the past. They're gone. So eventually, you lost because you lost in the past. So therefore, you don't own the future because you're not creating the future. You don't own the future because you're not creating the future. The believers are creating the future, and the scriptures tell them how to do that. See, scriptures tell them how to do that, and they follow. That's where a believer. The disbelievers, no, they're not. So therefore, they're lost in time, and eventually, nobody knows them anymore. They're gone. After a while, they're buried. They're buried in the past. They're buried in our past, spiritually and physically. And we're trying to get you to start making. We're trying to get our people. Because look, you've been making time for 464 years. That's how you got here. You're making time under the most extreme difficulties, and you made it this far. And then some of you truck it out. You're tired out. You say, "Oh, I'm tired." You're within sight of the finish line and you just give up. And you let people like Farrakhan, those type of people tell, "Hey man, ain't no sense to keep on going to the finish line because there ain't no finish line. There ain't no reward. And if you get finished, so what? Nobody's going to give a damn if you get past the finish line because there's nothing there for you. Because you're not going anywhere. You don't get the promised land. Though you spend 464 years working for it, creating time to get it, because you've been spending the last 464 years creating the promised land. That's what you've been doing. So now we're at the finish line where now it's coming into view, and you give up. That's why I said the messenger of the covenant. So now he's here to announce, hey, you won, you're victor. He's waiting for you to cross the finish line. And you say, oh man, you giving up. Because Farrakhan tell you ain't going nowhere, and then you believe him. What is your vision if you're with him? Your vision is the enemy's vision, American dream. Now tell me what other vision you have. Oh, well, we're going to eventually take over America one day. Same thing. See, it's still American dream. You're just going to be the owner of it. Okay, brothers and sisters, we warn you. And all those people that stand in the way, those people casting their shadows that cause you to be walking around in the darkness, that's blocking this light. It would have been better for them, as Jesus said, those that harm the least of these, it's better for them if they just tied a big old millstone around their neck and jumped off in the ocean. It'd be much. It said, it'd be better for them if they had never been born. And believe me, it says a horrible, terrible thing. It's a terrible thing to fall into the hands of the Son of Man. A dreadful thing. So, brothers and sisters, this is a call to action. We set up beacons all over because when Master Fraud Muhammad takes down false Israel and Suleiman takes over the NOI simultaneously, that's going to cause shocks throughout the world. Because here you got a physical, spiritual battle, because that's the judgment. The Ancient of Days sits down and he casts down all the thrones. That means he takes over the NOI. See, that's a spiritual blast, atomic blast. And Farad takes out false Israel, which is the foundation of this whole reality that we're in. That's not supposed to happen because they claim they're the true seed of Abraham. That means they cannot be moved, and when they are moved, that expels that lie, exposes that lie, and this whole reality comes crashing down. So it causes chaos, the shock of the hour. It's going to be just totally destructive. And it's going to be intense darkness. These people are going to be in intense darkness, except for those who stand with Suleiman in the Lamb's Book of Life. So they set up beacons all around, right? So it'd be a light for you to guide you, because you're going to be in darkness too if you're not paying attention, because you believe in this stuff too. But you just true seed Abraham. And so you got Miss Mercy for you. See? So you can come out, you can snap out of it, and a lot of you will snap out of it. And then the beacons will be there all over the country, right, to guide you into safety. It's called action, brothers and sisters. It doesn't cost you a dime. We don't ask you for a penny. We don't want your money. We're God's here. God's self-sufficient. We want your money. We're trying to help you. We're trying to give you something. We ain't trying to take anything from you. Okay, now we're going to do the mathematics of racism. To see if it's a real thing. It's something that make-believe, something that doesn't exist, something in our imagination. So we're going to do some mathematics to see that you decide. Now, these are not the actual mathematics. This is just an example, but it's true. It's a true analogy. The actual numbers, right? The numbers, to give you the idea. They're not actual true numbers, right? But they give it's support the idea. It's an analogy. Hope you understand that. It works this way, right? So we don't have the actual numbers, but it works this way. So if this was the number, that would work this way. So what we're saying is that, for instance, you see that red line, that's energy. So we get a burst of energy every 50 years. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it come you but of a sudden. That's what the Quran tells you. So it's a weak, the universe is contracting. As it's contracting, energy is coming back. So we went through a 50,000 year energy deprivation because all the energy you see out there used to be the atmosphere of the earth. But now we spread out. So, now there's less energy here, and so it became a matter of energy deprivation, right? Well, we didn't have enough energy to maintain ourselves, and our civilization, everything started falling apart. So we're going back 50,000 years. Okay, so I'm going to say every 50 years, right, we get 360 units of energy. Put it that way, 360 for the whole planet, because it says it's momentous in the heavens and earth. That means it comes to earth, absorbed by the earth, and then earth converts energy in a form we can use: air, water, food, so forth, so on. So energy that we can use. See, we can't eat star energy. Okay, so we're going to use an arbitrary number, say 360. Okay, now see over on the right, all the way on the right there, that 90, that's going to represent animals, because animals are the same thing. So when the energy comes, it's absorbed, and then it's distributed evenly across all. The Quran tells you that even the animals is distributed all across all. See, so we say we had three. At 50,000 years ago, there was three distinct tribes. The Hindu tribe that was up around India and Afghanistan, Hindu Kush, area. We had the original tribe, right, that was in the center, and which was called Arabia now, which is actually North Africa, Arabia and Iraq, all those areas, right? And then you have the continent of Africa, right? South of Arabia, right? That's where the Africans, the tribe of Levi. So you have the tribe of Levi, tribe of Shabazz, and tribe of Hindu. Those three tribes. Then you got the animal kingdom. So when the energy comes, it's divided evenly by everybody. So we're going to do it not by individual, by group, right? So we say, remember, this is just an analogy. So if we want to go into total accuracy, then it'd be much more detailed than this. But this is accurate. I mean, this is an accurate analogy. So if it's 360, if you divide that by 4, that means the original nation, which is, we're going to put that as gold, because that's what the angel calls us, gold. It doesn't say blacks, it's gold. African nation, right? The Levites, they're black, right? The Asian nation, or Hindu, brown. Those are three nations. And then the animal kingdom. So everybody would get 90. See, that's the way economics, see, this capitalism economics does not work. It's wrong. It's a big lie. But that's what they tell you. See, because the Quran tells you this whole capitalism system is based on usury. It's based on usury. Debt, see, usury, interest rates, banks, that's what it's all about. And Allah said he's at war with it. He said he's forbidden it because it's not a true economic system. It's And we're gonna look at it because is that part of the racism? Is that what racism is? See? Because it's destructive in many ways. I'm not going into detail about it here. So there you go. So 50,000 years, we start energy deprivation. It got down to 360. Say it was 720 before that. It got down to 360. At that point, we didn't have enough energy. Things start falling apart. It takes energy to do everything. It takes energy to breathe, energy to think, energy to live, heart to beat. Everything requires energy. So you have to have enough energy to maintain yourself. If you don't have enough, then you start falling apart. So in other words, your body starts saying, okay, well, let things go. Like you start looking older. Your skin starts falling apart. See, because it tries to maintain them. It tries to maintain the most significant organs. That's why, right? Your facial features is not a significant organ. You might think so. So that's one of the first things they're going to be hate that. Man, why I start looking so old? Because you don't have enough energy to maintain that. And you will have enough, so maybe you will never look old. You always look youthful all your life as long as you live. But right now, your body doesn't have enough energy to maintain. That's part of the reason why we sleep. We didn't sleep 50,000 years ago. That was something that started 50,000 years ago because we didn't have energy to maintain ourselves 24 hours. We had enough energy to maintain ourselves about 16 hours, and then we had enough, and then we ran out of energy after 16 hours. So therefore, we had to recharge. Go to sleep, not use up any energy while we recharge again, right? Because we get energy on a daily basis. Say you get on an hourly basis, right? Okay. So that's the situation we're in. See? Okay. So what we did is that, oh man, that's not enough, man. We need more energy than that. But where are we going to get it from? Can't, because you only get 360. So what we did is we did this. We reduced the animal. We start eating animals, taking all their energy. That boosts the energy up to 120 for everybody. That's what we did. We weren't eating animals before that. So we start eating. So we eat animals. That means we're taking their energy. So we were able to boost the energy up, and so slow down the effect of energy deprivation. But it also cause other problems. Eating animal, right, cause all kinds of ailments and different things that we didn't have before. But anyway, it allowed us to increase our energy allocation per day. Because we start eating them, taking their energy. We eat them, kill them, we take their energy from them. That has other spiritual consequences also. I'm not going to right now, but I'm just going to get you the point here. So we still get 360, but we did that, and so now energy bumped up. See, because we're down to 90. So by doing that, right, we boost energy up to 120. Okay, but also decrease our life expectancy. Our life expectancy start going down. Eating animals will diminish your life expectancy. No doubt about it. I think everybody recognizes that. See, but anyway, we still had higher energy. So we're up to 120. Okay, so then what? This went on. Like I said, I'm not going step by step, year by year. I'm just going in general to give you the idea. So then comes Dr. Yakub, 6,000 years ago. You see? So he brings in a new people, Europeans, Yakub's people, right? So now we got a race. See, before we didn't have such thing as race because all three tribes were original. It was just three tribes. We saw tribes, right? It was all the same, all original. But when Yakub brought that, they weren't original, right? And so that's why I call it race, because now you got two different visions. See, you have two distinct visions, and now you got to race to what the vision is going to be. And the analytical visions versus the spatial vision. And so what vision, that's why it says, what vision will win the war of Armageddon? Because that race began. Race began 6,000 years, what vision is going to win? They have their vision, we have our vision. Two different natures. Their nature was totally different. The natures between the other three tribes weren't that different. weren't that different. Not to be noticeable. If there was differences, right? But not that noticeable that to classify it. But then you came, and then you have what do you call it, afterbirth effect, because it took 600 years to produce them, but they didn't know how to stop. So they stopped when they started producing beings that weren't mentally viable, which they call now mentally challenged. They used to call retarded, and before they called Mongols. Check it out, they used to call Mongols. Why they call them Mongols? Because all those children look just alike. And who they look like? Look like the Mongols. Because that's what it was. Because they kept going, and then they knew to stop when they started. People wasn't mentally viable enough because they couldn't rule anything if they didn't have any mentality. So when they kept going, they started producing a lot of those mentally challenged children, right? They said, okay, this is where we stop. So the choice was to get rid of them, or what? They said, well, they decided not to get rid of them. They pushed as far north as possible, right? Away from all civilization, right? And since their mental capabilities like maybe third or fourth grade, right? They couldn't teach them reading and writing normal, so they gave them picture language, right? Couldn't teach them manufacturing, right? So they gave them chopsticks. They can't manufacture forks and things, right? They couldn't teach them farming, so they gave them rice and just stomp it. You get the idea? They couldn't hunt, right? So they gave them domesticated dogs. That's why I love dogs so much there. So forth, so on. So I'm gonna leave it like that. So then you got 2 groups that was produced after that. So now you got 5 groups, see? But 2 distinct races. So-called yellow and the white, that's one group. And then you got the original group. Okay? So now, by doing that, you drop the energy requirement. Remember, after 50, remember start 50,000 years ago I showed you. Now you're down 44,000 years, so its energy level is really low. So I'm just showing 72 there is much lower than that, right? Because that much time passed, because every 50 years, right, you lose more energy. Because that time energy is still going away from the Earth. 50,000 years, energy is still going away from the Earth. The universe is still expanding. So by the time Dr. Yuki, energy deprivation was very, very intense. So I'm not showing that here because it wouldn't be 360 at that point. It'd be like a lot less. But I want to keep it simple to get you the idea. So by that time, it might be down like 120, maybe 100, maybe 40. After 44,000 years, right? So it's very low. But we're going to keep it stable at 360, just so you understand. See? You get the general idea, basic idea here. Because this not to give you a scholarly education on this. Just give you the idea so you understand. Because we're trying to see if racism has anything to do with this. So this is where it goes. So 6,000 years ago, this situation. It's still eating animals, and it's distributed across 5 people, right? See? So then what? Then I said they declared war on us 500 years ago, race war. So what did they do? They not only reduced the animals already reduced with eating animals, they reduced all of humanity, of themselves, to 0. Because they said it all belongs to them. They took everything, everybody. They went all over the world taking everything from everybody. They reduced all. They said that's racial superiority, right? And everything belongs to them. America wasn't theirs. Australia wasn't there. Canada wasn't theirs. South America wasn't theirs. The islands wasn't theirs. Hawaii wasn't theirs. They wasn't in China because China had a big wall to keep them out. See what I'm saying? So when they reduced that to that, then boom, look how the energy, they get all of it, 360. Plenty of energy. And everybody else has none. That's exactly what happened. And that's racism. That's racism. Because remember we did to the animals, they did to us. So they did to all. So Y'all, everything y'all own, because everything the animals have is ours, because we can eat them, we can take everything they got. They have no rights to anything. So they took rights. We didn't have rights to anything. The Indians didn't have rights to their land. Nobody had the right. Hawaii didn't have the right to their land. We didn't have the right to our own bodies. They kidnapped us, and we didn't have the right to own bodies for hundreds of years. Have the right to own mind. That is what happened. Now, is that racism or not? Because that's what they did. Exactly what they did. That's what history says. And that's how they got rich and powerful. So now all the energy is theirs. Everything is theirs. They're much powerful for anybody. More powerful than anybody. Now, if they was to take and make everybody equal again, right? Then they would go back to this. They're up to 360. They're powerful above everybody. So if they go back and make everybody equal, they go back up this. Look how far they dropped down. They go from 360 down to 72. 1/5 of the power they have. And then everybody's equal to them. So if they don't have power of anybody anymore, they're not going back to that. They're not giving this land back to the Indians. They're not escorting us back to Africa and letting us free. They're still exploiting us. They're not giving Hawaii back. They're not giving Australia back. They're not giving Canada back. That's what it requires to maintain that power. Now, is that racism or not? Because that's exactly what happened. They took all our energy and it took everything from us, everything. And we worked our behinds off, right? Producing for them. They took all our energy, all the efforts, everything. Our vision took everything from us for their own purpose. Now, let's look at this a little further. Now, we see some of the countries starting to defend themselves and starting to capture energy back for themselves. What does that happen? That means America has less energy. Europeans have less energy now because energy is distributed evenly. See, that's Islam, it's mathematics. Energy is distributed evenly. We're in a pressure field. We based on our reality is based on pressure, which means every molecule, every component in a pressure field is equal based on the equation mass times acceleration equals force, where force is equal for everybody. See, the only difference is how much mass you have. The lower your mass, the higher your acceleration. The lower your acceleration, the higher your mass. It's just that's the way it is. But the force remains equal for everybody. That's why I say men and women are totally equal. It's just it's different but equal. So the difference is that if the force is 12, right? Then mass could be 6. That means the acceleration would be 2. If the mass is 4, then the acceleration would be 3. If the mass is 12, the acceleration would be 1. Dude comes out 12. So as these nations start rising, right, that diminishes the energy of Europeans, specifically America. They don't want that, but that's what's happened. So now you got greater conflict in the world. That's why you got this conflict going, because nations are rising, and so by them taking more energy, because you see, that's why America going in debt and everything right now, because they don't have as much energy as they had before. They fund the police, they want to do all these things they're doing, right? They don't have the money, because the energy is diminishing because all of the nations start exerting themselves. See, they're starting to rise. And the only thing America can do is either knock them back down or go to war with them and hope to knock them back down. And then look at China. See, China's really exerting itself. See, more than the other ones. So look how much that diminishes America. Almost on the same equal par as China. Almost on the same level as China. Europeans are almost on the same level as China as it exerts itself. They tell you China's not seeking to be equal, it's seeking to be dominant, to take over. If they keep rising, why? Because who is the greatest debtor America is most debt into China. If China says, okay, I want to call in that debt, that will bankrupt America, because America's technically bankrupt right now. You understand, brothers and sisters? See? That means a war, if America to remain dominant, it has to go to war and knock everybody back down again so it retain its power. But now these other countries are getting more powerful, so it may not be able to do that. If they fail, because America knows they fail, you know what happens? See where the animal is right there? They're going to be moved to zero. Zero. As they have done, so shall be done to them. They're going to be moved to zero. That's what hell is. They're going to be moved to zero. So they're going into captivity. As they have done, so shall be done to them. Hope you understand, brother and sister. So, is that racism? That's the mathematics of it, in general. If you understand history, that's exactly what has happened. I try to explain that context. You understand? You understand now? So if you sit here betting on America, you're in bad shape because we're going home. See, the bottom line is, right, is that we're going to be on top. And a couple of these nations won't be around anymore. This great war is going to eliminate a few of these nations. They won't be around anymore. See? And the population will be so diminished, right, that there's going to be a suddenly abundance of energy. 100 times more energy you have right now. Hundreds. That's why I say be transformed in a twinkle of an eye. Because remember, it's based on population. The amount of energy divided by the population. So if the amount of energy is 1,000, the population is 1,000, everybody gets 1 unit. But the population energy is 1,000, and everybody what I say? Oh, if back off again. If the energy is 1,000 and there's 1,000 population, everybody gets 1. Energy is 1,000 and the population is 100, down to 100, right? Everybody gets 10. If the energy is 1,000 and the population is down to 10, everybody gets 100. You understand? If you get down to 1, you get the whole 1,000. So this war is going to eliminate more than half. It's going to eliminate maybe at least 2/3 of the population of the planet. That's going to be a great injection of energy right there. Like I said, and a couple of nations will be gone. If you read the AL-INJIL in New Jerusalem, you see one whole nation, right? The Mongoloids, they totally would be absent. They're not there. See? Because they have that extra germ, the extra chromosome. I'm not going that in detail, brothers and sisters. But I try to, so you have to answer the question, is this racism? See? Because they say ain't no such thing as racism. Not systemic racism. Well, according to this, they have to have racism to maintain their power. They have to have racism, use racism. They use racism to gain their power, have to maintain to keep their power. So either they ignorant of the fact, which I doubt it, they know it but they can't say it. They have to continue racism to maintain their power, because that's the base of their power. See, living off us and living off everybody else, living off this, they're still living off, they have to give America back. They do that, that returns back home. They do that. So they have to maintain this system. And capitalism is also a part of the machinery of this system. Because what? You got a few people that got a lot. Remember, it's the way the economy really works mathematically is shared evenly amongst everyone. It's what you do with it. It's what you do with it. It's the quality of it. In other words, you can have $1 million shit farm, or you can have $1 million gold mine, it's still worth $1 million. It's what your mind was able to give form to. That's the difference. Is you study and you learn, and you get the same amount as someone else, but you're able to turn your $1 million into a gold mine. Other person, they weren't, for whatever reason, so they got $1 million shit farm, they got to smell shit every day. It's still worth $1 million. That's the difference. That's the way the economy really works. That's the way nature works. That's the way pressure works, because we live in a pressure system. But Capitalism is totally against that. Because one person get a whole lot, another person nothing. And that's what the system is right here. Right? You're living off the people up top got a lot. And you live with the people who got a lot. You, in America, they say you got about 100 people got more money than all the rest of the people in America all together. That's the same system here. Because other people reduce to nothing, and they take advantage of everyone else. And they got it all. And if they take and distribute even like it's supposed to be, they wouldn't have any. They wouldn't be the big shot. They wouldn't have everything anymore. But that produces a current, because everything has to balance. So if you pose it's 12 and you got 18, you got 6 more you're supposed to have. That means somehow you got 6. Now you got a current. That's usually got a current. See, that's revolution. That current builds strong enough, it'll break the dam down, because all the money has to be returned to make everything, to equalize everything. That's what revolution is. See, that's why I said Allah is at war with usury, because you set up your own destruction. That's what happened in the French Revolution. See, eventually that current became so strong that the poor was strong enough to break that dam down and take everything from the rich, the aristocracy, and then, you understand? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So you answer the question: is America racist? Europeans racist? Everything they have, where did they get it from? Did they get it from their own resources? Did it come from Europe? Or did they get it from taking from other people and reducing them to nothing? They all but eradicated the people that own this country. All but eradicated us. Okay, we're going to talk real quick about Nineveh, because just like an update, because I may have left a few people a little confusion. So we're going to go and talk about this real quick. I'm not going to read all this, but Nineveh, well, we just move to the next page here. A couple things that I may have missed here. You got Nineveh, the great city, so 3 days across. Now you see here, if you remember, I said each one of these things represents a day, and when it's like this, it could be a day and a night, but still, right? So in a day, is 1,000 years a day. So that's another way of saying it. Because remember, Nineveh was 3 days across. So in this case, see, in the sealed Bible, the one I gave you, that's the one that I was talking in reference to partially yesterday, when I said, from the sealed Bible version, America's 3,000 miles apart, 3,000 miles across. Because it said it was 3 days journey, there's 1,000 years a day, right? And America is, that's Nineveh the Great. But Nineveh, the city, was only 1,000, 1 day, or 1 day in. So that's why. So another way of looking at this from a seal point is that a day, God saved to make us 3 days across, and Nineveh just one. See, Nineveh just one. They're 3 to 1. You get that same thing in the fourth horseman, right? I mean, the third one says 1 for 3. I'm not going into all that detail, but that's talking about another situation. But it's the same concept. That's what we're talking about. So Nineveh, the great city, in this case, represents this whole thing. God saved him and make God. The whole system is going to be brought down, right? But when he was told to go to Nineveh, the great city, but he went to Nineveh. So I thought I'd point that out. Okay. So here it is. See, Suleiman, he represents the sun. He goes to Nineveh. He goes there when he goes there as the war starts, because the war is still going now. But when it becomes kinetic, that means they start shooting missiles and bombs. That's about to happen. So that's when he goes to Nineveh, right? He goes to NOI, which they rejected the first time. He goes this time, because that's what said the Ancient of Days set, and thrones were cast down. See, that's what happened here. There's a point where he goes, there's also a point where Farrakhan is dispatched, they're thrown out. That's what I mean the thrones was cast down. So here, the war is won. America falls to Israel and Britain is kicked out. Now, Iran and Syria, they're in control of the Middle East. See? Let me make a change here, so you can see what's going on here. See, they control the Middle East now. See? Okay. And this is where false Israel, as Daniel says, the late season are taken out. They don't exist anymore. They're gone. And America falls down. It works at war in Europe, and Britain is at war in Asia. I mean, in Orient against China and in Korea. That means America's at war with them also, right? Okay. And the four winds would be the resurrection. That's for God's protection. But see here, that's what it said. Nineveh. He goes there. So at that point they're attacking Nineveh. They're attacking NOI. They're also attacking the Christian blacks. They're attacking all blacks. See? But then it says, well, let me back up here. Because I'm getting part of what I was doing here. Let's back up a second here. Now it says that they repented. When he went to Nineveh, they repented this time. They didn't repent this first time. They repented this time. See? So it says when they repented, see? So he goes there, right? The kinetic war started, and it says what they would do. It says that Nineveh would repent. They would accept him now. He gave it 2 signs. They accept him, right? And so it says that they would cover themselves with sackcloth. There it is. That's sackcloth. Because in chapter 11, the witnesses also, which Iran and Syria, is also called sackcloth. So they covered themselves with sackcloth. That's what talked about. See? So they repented. They repented of Farrakhan and them. They got rid of them. They're gone. Now, Suleiman is in control of the NOI. It's going to happen in a few days. I know they don't believe it. And those that are resisting it, they're going to wish it never happened, because there will be no forgiveness for them, because all our people that has been lost and destroyed because of lack of knowledge, because these folks will stand away, their shadows cast their shadows, because our people that walk around, stumble around the darkness, they will be quiet. The blood of our people that were lost will be quiet at their hands. Okay, so here, that says put the sackcloth, right? Cover yourself with sackcloth, pull it up. And then, right? See, this is they repent, Farrakhan them, they've done it, cast out. Okay. Let's see if I'm missing something here. Oh. So here's Nineveh, right? They repented. They were under attack. So what's happening here is then it says, right? Now there's 2 things here. The first time it says, right? Because it says he would preach that this was supposed to happen in 2015, 40 years after Elijah departed, but it didn't happen because Jonah did what he's supposed to. That's the first time he did what he was supposed to, right? I mean, he didn't want to, but then he came back and preached, and then it didn't happen. They were supposed to be destroyed, it didn't happen, and they called him a false prophet and everything else. But God said no. Then he get in an argument with God about it, getting discussion, heated discussion, and God told him, surprise, no, I'm not going to do it right now, because there's 120,000 still in the NOI that don't know their right hand from their left. or sympathizers of it because they can't decipher Elijah Muhammad's teachings from Farrakhan's lying teachings. So we want to give him more time. So it's supposed to happen in 2015, 40 years afterwards. See? So then, what happens? Then it says, should I get this right now? When he returns the second time, right? Okay, I have an area that the sun should be down there where the NOI is, right? So, the second time they listen, they repent. See, so remember the first time what they did was they called a fast. The people of Nineveh called a fast. See, that's the believers. They called a fast and put sackcloth. See, that's the sackcloth right there. See. Okay, but the second time, when the word reached the king of Nineveh, that means now that's Farrakhan. He got from his throne, so he's cast down. He's not on his throne anymore. As I said, thrones were cast down when Suleiman set, ancient days set, and moved his robe. That means his authority was taken away too. He's not on his throne. He's not the leader anymore. His authority is gone, right? And he covered himself with sackcloth. Now, remember the other one, they pulled sackcloth up, but now he's covered himself with sackcloth. And then he sets down the ashes. See? So this is what that means. See here? Because this is the resurrection. You see? This is the resurrection here. But the thing is that first the demons had to be cast down. That's called a chaff. Aaron, remember Aaron, all the people that followed him was cast down or destroyed. See? So demons had to be separated. The chaff had to be separated from the wheat and cast down. And they're replaced by the Shia. So that's why they cover sackcloth, because they'd be in the same position, right? So they were changing places. So they've been thrown back down in the fire. That's the fire now. See, that's why they're sitting in the ashes and covered with sackcloth, right? And then they're replaced by the Shia, Farad's rod of iron, and that's that point. We return home, because they're not coming over here. We're over there. And now the demons, the chaff, are separated. They're at war with their daddies because they don't want them, and we don't want them. So now you got this. You got that's the second locust plague. First one was last year, for the last 5 months. This is the second one. One is a sealed version. One is a sealed locust plague. One's an unsealed locust plague. This is an unsealed one. I told you got two Bibles: the sealed version, unsealed version. I'm teaching from both versions. The one, the plague that happened last year for 5 months, that George Floyd plague, that the insurrection that went on, it lasted exactly 5 months, right? That was the locust. That was the Christian blacks doing that. Now this one, right, will last 5 months also. But this one to destroy America totally. They're totally at war. Anyway, I hope you understand, brothers and sisters. That's why I say set in the ashes, because it's on fire. See, that's it. Those two trumpets, or two of the four winds, right? It's fire, and so that fire leaves ashes. So now Aaron, Farrakhan, sitting down in the ashes, was covered with sackcloth. That's his end, and all those that's with him, all the demons with him. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay, is there anything else I want to cover here? I had a couple of notes here. We're talking about keeping up with time. I said that's what the difference between believer and non-disbeliever. A believer, right? They're making time. See? They're still creating time. They're making their future. See? The disbelievers are consuming their future. They're staying in the current. Said they love this world's life. They stay in the current. You got the time makers, they're back in the past. But the believers, they eventually, disbelievers, they're ever in the past too, because they're not moving forward in time, they're not creating time, they're living off the current time. And now we got the time makers, those walking around with the Quran. Oh man, that's the last revelation. They walk around in darkness, they don't even realize they're in darkness. They haven't had a victory in 500 years. They don't realize they're in the darkness. The Quran was supposed to, in 1,000 years, they read chapter 20 of the Injil. Then you got so-called followers of Elijah Muhammad with their message of the black man. Yeah, I love the message of the black man. I love the Quran. But they're out of date now. What happened to the scriptures during Abraham's time? He had scriptures, what happened to them? They're not around now. They was from God, wasn't they? They're not around now because they're irrelevant now. Relevant our time. You can't do anything with them because they can't create the future. The Quran cannot create the future. The angel tells you how to create the future. And then once we get it gets us to the promised land. Once we get there, we get another scripture to keep on moving through time. We'll keep on going through time. And those of us that keep up with time will continue to move in time, and we'll go on and on and on. And then there'll be those who will get tired of creating time. They'll tired, they'll enjoy what the current is until eventually they're lost in time, and they're lost, then they lost. And we'll keep moving, they'll be forgotten. But we'll keep moving through it. Those of us will keep moving on in time. See? In one form or the other. Read. Take 4 birds, change them to climb to thee. Right? Place them on every mountain. And they'll call them, they'll come, they're flying. That means our genes, right, are spread amongst our parents, amongst our relatives, cousins, or whatever. Right? So as long as everyone moving in time, your genes are moving in time too. So when you run through time along, you go long enough, after a while you look around and you're 6 feet tall, they're about 8 feet tall. You say, well, is that what you want? They say, okay, it's time to get a renewal. See? So you get a restructuring, get a renewal. So you come back to the womb, right? An upgrade. See? Because we have control our genes so you can call them together. That's what we do. So we keep constantly moving through time, constantly creating time for the next 76 trillion years. It says at the end, right, there'll only be one left. That'd be Allah himself. There'll only be one left. It'd be Allah himself. He's the only one who could make the whole journey. Then he starts bringing a whole new world that we're living in. He brought this whole creation you see out here right now. He initiated 76 trillion years ago. He initiated that. And now we initiated this new world. We're the gods that initiate this new, right? The contraction phase. He initiated the expansion phase. It was just one then, but it'd be 144,000 of us now. We initiate the contraction phase. He initiated the expansion phase. He called his name Allah, and we still know his name today. 76 trillion years later. They're going to know your names 76 trillion years from now. But only one can make that full journey. That's what I said. And then it just be one. So we all return to Allah. That's what it's talking about. We all return to Allah. Because he's the only one who can make that. See? Because we're gonna fall by the way as time goes on. Some of us make it 1 million years from now, some make it 1 trillion years from now, 1 billion years, 1 trillion years. Sooner or later, only one can make the entire journey. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I think I'm gonna leave it there. And hope you understand. Call to action, brothers and sisters. See? We're trying to set beacons all over the country. Because when that war breaks out, abomination, desolation, there's going to be total triple darkness in this country. And we're setting beacons all over for our brothers and sisters. So they will have a light to find their way into safety. Come, join us, brothers and sisters, if this makes sense to you. There's no obligation to you. Only obligation we have here is that we don't distort, corrupt the scriptures, corrupt this message. We have one vision, the Abrahamic covenant vision. That's the only That's the only that's it. Other than that, we don't want your money or anything from you. Just that. You don't corrupt the scriptures, you don't corrupt this message, and we have a common vision, the Abrahamic covenant, because we return home this year. The war will start any day now. That's left up to Master Muhammad. It says, no one would know but the Son. It says, not even the Son, only the Father only. That's David. That's Master Muhammad. See? He's David. Suleiman is his son. Spiritual son. That's what it's talking about. That's why I kept calling. They always say, oh, Jesus, son of David. Why I keep saying it? But they said he supposed to be son of God. Well, they're talking about Farad. Farad is the God, and that's David. That's what we talk about. But you think some mystery God or whatever. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.